What's going on, boys? It's Flauz, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the movement fundamentals in Counter-Strike. You know, it's not the most exciting topic, it's not the sexiest thing to work on, but it is one of those things that you know that other people aren't working on it, especially at like lower ranks, because movement's one of those things that helps you get easy kills. It doesn't look like it's super exciting to watch someone just like peek into a corner where they're pre-aiming, right, and just hit that headshot. It's not as exciting as someone who swings out poorly and like flicks to them and just hits a nice shot, but movement is one of those things that helps you improve at the game the fastest, right? You'll see even pretty high level players are doing mistakes with movement all the time. As long as you can kind of just capitalize on those and see where those mistakes are and get better from it, I think that's always a positive. The first thing we're going to talk about is peeking, different angles. First one is jiggle peek. I'm sure you've heard of the term, but it's basically you show a little bit of your shoulder, right? So it's kind of like shoulder peeking or jiggle peeking. You just show a little bit of your shoulder and then you commit to like a harder swing and go for that fight. The reason you show your shoulder right before you peek is you can catch people off guard. They'll kind of start to spam you, right? They see your shoulder, you get a little weird and they spam out a little bit, and you're trying to peek right after that spam comes in, right? So you show, they start to spam, you peek right after. While their spray's resetting, you can catch them in a little bit of a timing there, right? And if they commit to the spray, and you're already out a little bit farther, right? So you go for, maybe it's like a tighter angle like this, you hear them spam a little bit. You can cross this angle while they're resetting because they either won't commit to actually taking this fight, or they won't like full swing out and take this fight, because then if they do, your teammates can peek right behind it and get that trade, right? Using Cat as an example just because I feel like it's a good corner to kind of showcase this, but your teammate can peek right behind it if they do peek out and try to finish you off in this spam, right? And that's a really good advantage for the T side if it's like a 4v4 instead of a 5v5, even if they do get this kill. But a lot of the times your teammate will actually come out and kill this person before you actually even go down if you're that first person in, right? So another thing is that entry player, whoever's like the first person in, especially on pistol round, you see a lot of the times they're going for the kill, right? So if I'm here and I'm trying to take this fight, it's not like a clean headshot right at the start, which a lot of the times it won't be when you're taking a fight. My teammates behind me are kind of backed off in a weird spot, or they're at a weird angle where they can't help me, right? They can't get through. I'm at a spot where I'm blocking them, so someone from mid can even peek out and take a free fight on people that are like just kind of blocked up cap. Or I'm sure you've had it happen long where someone, the first person out, just kind of sits here, right? And they're trying to take this fight. I always think the first person should just jump and just take a fight from a wider angle, right? Even if like you do go down in this jump and you have a teammate behind you, the person behind you can trade you out if they do track you down and get that kill, right? Especially if it's like an angle like that, or if it's towards B, right? I'll show you the example at B. If I'm someone right here who's swinging out and I'm just kind of sitting here and I'm looking for kills, I'm looking for headshots as I get out, I'd rather have that first person jump this corner and just clear that close right? Yeah, there could be someone backside, sure. They could also get this kill on you that's running in. But you should have teammates that are clearing that out as well, right? So you get through, first teammate clears here, second teammates are working the back of the site, and it clears the site very quickly, even though it's not that first person clearing out everything. It's that first person who's creating the most space to let your team actually get into the site. Going towards mid here, we're going to talk a little bit more about peeking different angles. So we talked about jiggle peeking, where it's like this, jiggle, show your shoulder, right? And then you can swing into a different angle, or if you jiggle the angle like this and you still want to clear that close right angle, you can pre-aim it, crouch down as you're peeking into it. The reason for that is, once I said earlier, the players on your team behind you can peek while standing, while you're crouching in front of them, and they won't hit you in the head, right? If they're opting, they won't kill you. If they're using a rifle, they won't really like ding you up and spam you down and kill you that way. So it's really nice to just have that first person peek out as you're swinging. Like let's say they're playing a top cat here. First person peeks out, crouches as they're swinging into it. It also throws the person's on the CT side spam out. So like if they're aiming head level and you crouch, they have to adjust downwards and to the left if you're swinging out wide, which makes it really awkward and it's harder to hit that shot. Your teammates can be peeking from back here, right behind it. It changes up the angle. You won't really line up as much. So if they, you know, are starting to spam the exact same angle, you're not going to line up for their spray down so that they can't get a double kill very easily. So it's a really nice way to just kind of ensure you're at least getting a trade if you're peeking into that angle. If not, you're throwing their aim off and getting that free kill because you're 2 guns versus 1 basically as you're taking different fights. I see a lot of the times as well, if there's like an opper, let's say there's an opper CT, right? We know that there's an opper mid, he plays it mid every single round. We maybe don't have a smoke to cross here. I'd always prefer the person to cross very close to the door. The reason for this is if anyone's playing here, it's a lot harder to spam this person down that's super close when they're crossing, because there's a lot less time that they can see you crossing this doorway. If they're a little bit like, if they're down mid here, I mean, it's pretty easy to get this kill regardless, because you should have already cleared this out or have someone posted on this so that they can't just run right up. But if you're that first person in and you jump this cross, as you can see right there, like the person CT doesn't have a lot of time to react to me crossing. If I'm way back here on this back wall, right, it's a great example to show how long it takes for me to actually cross the vision of CT here. Like, yeah, you can get a little bit more info that way. The reason you're also jumping this cross is if there's an opper and they shoot you in the leg, you're not going to go down. If you're playing way back here, and the opper, all they can see, if they hit you, they're basically going to take you out of the round. You always want to, like, give yourself a chance to stay in the round and kind of have an idea of what you're trying to do on each peak, right? Another really good tip that I don't see enough like players using is you can jump, crouch, and then let go of your crouch like last second, right? So here, jump, let go of my crouch. I can have like decent vision onto anyone mid, and I'm not really exposing myself in my head too long. So like, it's not like I'm peeking here. If I can get up on the box, it's not like I'm over peeking here CT. I'm just jumping, letting go of that crouch to see if anyone's rotating in CT. You can also use this to your advantage. Like, let's say you're mid and you want to peek cat, right? As long as you're landing after you jump crouch a little bit higher, as you can see right there, it's silent. So here, it's silent on that. Here, silent, which is really nice. So you're not just making that big thud noise. So anyone that's mid can hear you, anyone that's cat can hear you. So you're here. Let's say you're trying to peek cat. That's a really quick peek opposed to you jump spotting like that, right? If you're playing at higher ranks, they might have the ability to flick to your head. And that like quick millisecond that you're not showing can be the difference between you actually getting killed and, you know, not getting the kill. So same thing at long, you can do it right here. Jump, peek, let go of that crouch button to the last second, just so you can get that last little glimpse of vision. And then you can throw nades and do whatever you want afterwards. But I think that's just like a really good tip to kind of put in there. If you're jump spotting, crouch, let go of that crouch at the very top to kind of give you that extra little vision on top of it, right? You can do it here as well, although it's not probably the best. But if you're coming back to the site, you think that there's someone playing this default position, right? Come right here to this box, jump, uncrouch, right there. Then you can start to work up, and you get a little bit of vision and a little bit of just an understanding of where they're playing, right? And I think noise is the biggest thing in clutches of how people lose it or how they're getting in their info. As long as you can stay silent as long as possible, it's a great way to just kind of keep that advantage in a clutch. Also for movement, I think like peeking close, I kind of touched on this, but peeking close is a lot faster for an op to flick to you. So if you can peek close and swing wide, it's a lot harder for an opper to hit that shot than if you're peeking farther back and swinging wide, because they have to move their mouse a little bit slower if you're farther back from the wall is what I'm referring to. But if you're close up, you can peek wide, throws an opper shot off a little bit. Obviously don't just like keep running across like long or something like this, but if you peek close, right jiggle, show your shoulder, they shoot, and peek wide. Okay, now I'm moving up. And I'm staying wide on this angle because as I'm hitting the site, I'm clearing angles one by one, right? I don't want to sit close because I haven't cleared anything, and then I have all these angles to clear as I'm close to this wall, right? That's something I see pretty commonly. Like, back up as much as you can if you're the person just kind of chipping away at the site, slow clearing every single angle that people could be playing, and just kind of working up through that, right? I'll show it towards like B again. It's a little tougher on B, but if you have people that are clearing those close angles out, you can start to kind of work around the site as you're slow clearing it. Or if you're just playing contact, which is like basically you're making no noise, throwing no nades, and you're hitting a site, you can catch people off guard while you're clearing the site by just clearing out these different angles and kind of pre-aiming whatever you think the next possible spot that someone's gonna be playing is, right? So here, slow clearing, slow clearing. Okay. Then, as you can see, I have made no noise, I've cleared out all the angles, and we hit the site that way. So, a couple different ways you can use your movement to hit a site. Give yourself the best advantage, as I talked about earlier, like with your team. If you're first in, make sure you're creating that space. You're not blocking everyone behind you. And you're just basically giving yourself and your team the best possible way of entering into a site. Let me think of what else. So angle slicing, that's what I was talking about earlier, where it's kind of like you're slicing each corner as you're entering into a room or into a site, right? Same thing with cat. You can angle slice up cat to the common angles that people play. This one's a little tough because maybe you jiggle this, okay, you don't see anyone. Angle slice this next one. No one there, no one there. There. I'm doing it very slow just to kind of like exaggerate it and show you what to do, but you can do this very quickly as well, right? So here, boom, boom, boom. Okay, I don't see anything. Angle slices, I'm coming into the site. Boom. Clear out those most common angles, right? And sometimes someone will peek into you, right? But what's the difference between that and if you were just running into the site and they peek into you, right? It's basically the exact same thing regardless. You might as well have angles covered as you're peeking into them. That's when people get really frustrated as well. If you're holding an angle like on the CT side, maybe you think you're holding like a really good angle here and someone peeks out and just one taps you. It's very frustrating if you're on the CT side that, you know, once you get some action and someone peeks into you that they actually win that duel. So keep that in mind. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover today. Keep it pretty basic, but also touching on some more advanced points there, right? With like the crouch jumping and moving with your team, entrying in, getting that space covered for your team, and making sure you're not just overcommitting to too many fights, especially once you get the bomb planted. Like, you don't really have to push too deep into like every single site after. Like, let's say we planted here, they still have CT control long, we can back up cat. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for me to just try to take a fight long if I have teammates that are already cat and I feel like we have the numbers advantage already, right? It doesn't make sense for me to keep pushing, looking for more fights when we have the advantage. On the B site, let me go to this real quick. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense if we get the bomb planted and I just go for a peek here, right? The CTs have one thing to look for as they're coming back into the site. It's window and door. Maybe it's door smoked most of the time, but they have really one thing to look for. You might as well just sit back and wait for your team who's playing car to take some contact. Then you can peek out into them. And it makes it really difficult for the CTs to come back into the site, right? So that's kind of crossfires. We'll talk about that further on. But for movement fundamentals, I think we covered a good amount today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.